Some children speak loudly. He did not. He watched more than he talked. He listened more than he answered. As a boy, Alfred Nobel was quiet. Not weak, not afraid, just quiet. He liked silence. Silence gave him space to think. While other children ran and laughed, Alfred often stood still. He looked at the ground. He looked at the sky. He asked questions inside his mind. Why does the world work this way? Why do things break? Why do people suffer? He did not always say these questions aloud, but they stayed with him. Alfred was born into a family of invention. His father worked with machines. He tried to build new things. Some worked, many failed. Failure was normal in Alfred's home. So was moving. So was starting again. His family lost money, they changed cities, they changed countries. Young Alfred learned something early. Life is not stable. Nothing stays the same for long. This made him careful. It made him thoughtful. When things around you keep changing, you start to look inward. Alfred loved books. Books did not move away. Books stayed. He read about science. He read about poetry. He read about people and ideas. Words became his quiet friends. He learned many languages, not because he wanted fame, but because he wanted understanding. Each language opened a new door. Each word showed him a new way to think. Still, Alfred often felt alone. He was surrounded by knowledge, but not always by people. At night, he sometimes asked himself, "What will I become? What is my place in this world?" These were not easy questions, but Alfred did not run from them. He believed that questions mattered. As he grew older, his curiosity grew stronger. He became interested in chemistry. He wanted to understand how matter worked, how small things could create big change. Experiments filled his days. Failures filled his nights. Some days, nothing worked. Some nights, doubt grew heavy. But Alfred kept going. He believed that learning was a kind of hope. Hope that effort mattered. Hope that patience would lead somewhere. He did not dream of power. He did not dream of control. He dreamed of understanding. And yet, life was not gentle. His family struggled again. Money was never certain. The future was unclear. Alfred learned to live with uncertainty. This shaped him. He became calm in chaos, quiet in confusion. He did not speak quickly. He did not decide quickly. He waited. He watched. He thought. Inside him, a question slowly formed. Can knowledge change the world? And if it can, how should it? This question did not leave him. It followed him into adulthood, into his work, into his choices. But in these early years, he did not know the answer yet. He only knew one thing. Growth often begins with a quiet question. As Alfred Nobel grew older, his world grew louder. His ideas no longer stayed quiet. They began to take shape. They began to work. He spent long hours in laboratories. His hands smelled of chemicals. His mind stayed busy, even at night. Alfred believed in progress. He believed that knowledge could help people. He believed that invention could solve problems. But progress is not always gentle. Some experiments failed. Some failed badly. Explosions happened. Accidents followed. One day, a blast took the life of his brother. Silence filled the room, the kind of silence that hurts. Alfred felt responsible. He felt guilt. He felt fear. For the first time, his work did not feel hopeful. It felt dangerous. Still, the world around him moved fast. Industry was growing. Cities were expanding. People needed power, speed, and force. Alfred continued his research. He worked on controlling explosions. He tried to make them safer. This work led to dynamite. Dynamite was powerful. It could break rock. It could build roads. It could change landscapes. At first, Alfred saw possibility. He saw bridges. He saw tunnels. He saw progress. But the world saw something else. Governments noticed. Armies noticed. Dynamite moved from construction sites to places of war. Alfred did not plan this, but he could not stop it. His invention spread quickly, faster than his thoughts, faster than his control. People began to talk. They used his name with fear. Some called him dangerous, others called him brilliant. Alfred listened, and inside something began to break. Success arrived, money followed, but peace did not. He lived in hotels. He moved often. He stayed alone. At night, he thought deeply. Did I help the world? Or did I harm it? These questions grew heavier. He felt trapped between two truths. His invention helped build. His invention helped destroy. Both were true. This conflict stayed with him. Alfred became quieter, more distant. He avoided crowds. He trusted few people. The world praised his mind, but misunderstood his heart. He was not proud. He was troubled. Letters arrived. Some thanked him. Some blamed him. Each letter left a mark. Alfred began to understand something painful. An invention does not belong only to its creator. Once released, it belongs to the world, and the world does not always choose wisely. This realization changed him. He no longer felt simple hope. He felt responsibility. Responsibility is heavier than success. It asks difficult questions. It does not offer easy answers. Alfred tried to stay focused. He tried to believe his work still mattered, but doubt followed him everywhere. He asked himself again, can creation be separated from harm? Can progress exist without pain? There were no clear answers, only silence, only thought. In that silence, Alfred began to change. He started to listen more, to speak less. He felt the weight of his name, and he knew something important. Success does not always bring peace. One morning, Alfred Nobel opened a newspaper. It was an ordinary action, a quiet habit. But that morning was not ordinary. His eyes moved across the page, and then they stopped. He was reading about a death. His death. The article was short, clear, cold. It spoke about a man who made explosives, a man who earned money from destruction. The words were sharp. The Merchant of Death. That was the name they gave him. Alfred did not move. He did not speak. He simply stared. This was not how he saw himself. This was not the life he believed he lived. But this was how the world saw him. For the first time, Alfred saw his life through someone else's eyes, and it hurt. He felt shock, then disbelief, then something deeper, regret. Not regret for effort, not regret for learning, but regret for meaning. He asked himself quietly, if I die today, is this my story? The question stayed. He folded the newspaper. He sat alone. The room felt heavy. For years he had lived with doubt, with conflict, with responsibility. But now, everything became clear. People would not remember his intentions. They would remember his impact. Intentions live in the heart. Impact lives in the world, and the world speaks louder. Alfred understood something painful. You do not choose how others see you, but you do choose what you leave behind. This moment changed him. He began to review his life, not with anger, but with honesty. He thought about his long nights, his experiments, his losses. He thought about his brother, his silence, his loneliness. He realized that he had spent most of his life moving forward, but he had never stopped to ask one final question. What does my life mean to others? This question was different. It was not about success. It was not about invention. It was about legacy. Alfred did not want to be remembered as a warning. He wanted his name to stand for something better, but wanting was not enough. A choice was required. Real change always asks for action. That night, Alfred did not sleep. He wrote, he erased, he thought. His mind was calm but firm. He knew he could not change the past, but the future was still open. He decided to act, not loudly, not publicly, quietly. He began to plan how his work, his money, his name could serve life, not death. This was not an easy decision. It meant letting go of control. It meant trusting future generations. But Alfred was not afraid anymore. He had already faced the hardest truth, how the world would remember him. Now, he wanted to answer that truth with purpose. He knew that progress alone was not enough. Knowledge without values is dangerous. Power without responsibility is empty. So he chose meaning. That choice would shape everything that followed. But the world did not see this change yet. That would come later. For now, Alfred sat in silence. And in that silence, his name began to change. After that day, Alfred Nobel changed his direction. Not louder, not faster, but deeper. He stopped defending himself and began thinking about others. Not power, not fear, but knowledge, creativity, and peace. He chose to give his wealth away, believing that progress should serve life, not destroy it. True responsibility, he learned, is not control, but trust. When he died, the world was surprised. His name no longer stood for destruction, but for possibility. Science, literature, peace. Alfred Nobel's life teaches us this. You cannot change your past, but you can redirect your future. Growth can be quiet, slow, even late, but it still matters. And for you, the listener, learning English is not just language. It is opening doors, understanding others, shaping tomorrow, step by step, word by word, choice by choice,